$50 million. That's how much Creators Agency has paid out to creators, and most people have never heard of us. We're the agency behind some of the biggest finance and business brand deals on YouTube. We work with some of the biggest creators out there. And in this video, I'm going to give you a little look under the hood. So our average deal size is about $50,000, and we've paid our average creator over $200,000 throughout the course of our company. We've done multiple seven-figure partnerships. We've worked with over 140 different creators, over 350 different brands, ranging all the way from Fortune 100 companies, all the way down to small fintech startups that are just spending their first dollar on marketing. In one sentence, Creators Agency gets finance, business, and education creators paid more than anybody else by negotiating fair deals that are designed to last. My name's Apple. I'm one of the founders, and over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly who we are, what we do, who we're for, and who we are not for, including the one rule that we always follow that results in us turning down money on purpose. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So Creators Agency was founded by myself, Erica Kohlberg, and Eric Kohlberg back in 2021. We came together because Erica and I were both creating content in the finance space. I was coming at it as somebody from the financial services background as a financial planner, and Erica was coming at it as someone from the legal background as a lawyer. And so through creating content, negotiating our own brand partnerships, and talking to other creators in the space, we recognized a problem. And the problem was many creators had no idea what they were doing when it comes to working with brands. So they were not negotiating fair rates for themselves. They were signing contracts with extremely predatory terms. And oftentimes they just had no idea what they were doing. They were leaving messages unanswered for weeks on end and wondering why they weren't making enough money to do this thing full time. And so we started out just completely helping our friends pro bono, helping them out with brand deals if and when they wanted our help, and just kind of answering their questions. But what we realized through doing that and through our friends just word of mouth referring us to other people is that there was a big market for this. And it got to the point where we just didn't have the time to be doing this on the side in our spare time. And so we sat down and we started talking about this problem that we were noticing among other creators and started thinking about how we could actually play a bigger part in fixing it than just giving some advice to our friends in our spare time. And so that's where the idea for Creators Agency was born. We wanted to really genuinely help creators, help our friends do this thing that they loved so much, creating content, sharing valuable information with their audiences, and do it in a way that was actually sustainable, in a way that they could justify doing this full time and not having to work a full-time job and just record videos at nights, on the weekends, and whenever they could find a spare moment. But between the two of us, we weren't really smart enough to figure out how to make all the numbers work. So that's why we brought in Eric. Eric is a CFA. He's the numbers guy. He is able to make sure that we can afford to stay in business, figure out how to make all the numbers work at the end of the month. And he is the genius that spends all of his time looking at spreadsheets so that we don't have to. Erica's role at the company is more strategic. So as one of the largest finance creators in the world with over 21 million followers, she is able to get us connected with any brand, creator, or anybody in the space that we could possibly want to be connected with. She's spoken on stages alongside people like Mr. Beast and is just an absolute powerhouse as our chief strategy officer. Myself, I am the CEO. I run the day-to-day operations at our office here in Austin, which I'm sure you'll see in plenty of the content coming up. And I get to work day-to-day with our amazing team and help them become the next generation of leaders in this space. One thing that's very important to us with our team is that we are incubating people that have pretty much no experience in the world of creator marketing. Basically, all of our team is completely green to the world of working with creators, but we recognized one simple thing, and it's that you can teach influencer marketing, you can teach creator partnerships, but you can't teach is that hunger, that drive, that desire to achieve big things for yourself. And so all of our team have come in with extremely lofty goals, extremely ambitious, and we have been able to help them channel that into doing massive brand partnerships and helping our creators make tens of millions of dollars. We are on a mission to make creators $1 billion, and my day-to-day is figuring out how we move closer to that every single day and how we build the right team that we need in order to get there. Now, our entire journey has been totally word of mouth. We've never paid a single dollar for marketing, and that's because we are firm believers that we should walk the walk rather than talking the talk. There's a lot of agencies out there. Next video is going to spend some time talking about them and how we're different from them, but there's a lot of talkers in this industry. And so what we wanted to do was really just put in the work, show people with our actions, with our results, that we can do what we know we are able to do in terms of helping creators make a lot of money and helping brands generate real ROI. And over the last 5 years, we have been very quiet. We've been intentionally doing the work, taking the steps, putting the reps in, and ensuring that we are truly world class before really speaking to the world. And now we are starting to be a little bit more vocal, be a little bit more outspoken, because we know with confidence that we are the best at what we do. And so now we're ready to be a little bit louder and get that growth going even faster by speaking to the world and making more content like this. And everything that we do is extremely intentional, including our name. So when we were thinking about, what should we name this entity that we were starting to create, we wanted it to be something that really reflected exactly what we were doing and who we were for. And so we wanted to keep things very simple, which is why we landed on Creators Agency. At the end of the day, we're an agency for creators, started by creators, and our goal is to help creators be as successful as possible. Now, how do we actually do that? So if you're a creator, we find brands that your audience will actually benefit from and you will enjoy working with, and brands where you can actually move the needle for them and help them, in most cases, attract high quality customers that are going to help them grow and scale over time. If you're a brand, we help you find creators that are going to amplify your brand messaging, drive conversions, but then also just represent your brand in the light that you want to be represented in. And if you're a brand, one of the big pieces of value that we're able to provide is helping to facilitate the transfer of trust from a creator's audience to that specific brand. Because if you're thinking about working with a creator, it's not just about putting money in and getting leads out. It's about how do you actually build trust? Because you could go to Meta and spend money on Facebook ads and do all those kinds of things that are going to attract you customers and leads. But working with creators is a whole different beast entirely. And so a lot of our job is helping to educate brands on what makes working with creators different and why it is actually worthwhile to work with creators. How do you measure the impact that a creator is having on your business outside of purely just how many people clicked on the link, how many people used the promo code? There's so many more moving pieces to working with creators than purely just the traditional direct response metrics. And so a big piece of our day-to-day is helping brands to figure out why they can benefit from working with creators, and then how do they actually quantify that to justify spending millions or tens of millions of dollars of their marketing budget on creators versus all the other places that they could put it. Another newer piece of the value that Creators Agency is providing to brands is through LLM SEO. So a lot of consumers in the past used to go to YouTube, Google, or other places to search for brands and to make a purchasing decision. And they still do that. But a big way that user behavior has changed is that a lot more folks are relying on LLM recommendations in order to figure out where to go. And so we decided we were going to become experts at this. And so now many of our campaigns are intentionally designed to help brands rank and show up in LLMs when people are going to, say, ChatGPT or Claude and asking, where is the best high yield savings account for me? Where is the best investing app for me to use? We are intentionally using creators and leveraging creators and their ability to make content that these LLMs love in order to help brands achieve their goals as it relates to the next generation of marketing. And so once we move past the objectives and the idea stage, we're aligning with brands and creators on terms for these particular deals. That's going to be things like how much is the brand going to pay? How much is the creator going to receive? What kind of deliverables is the creator going to make for the brand over what period of time? Are there usage rights? Is there exclusivity? How can the creator's name, image, and likeness be used, if at all? And all the different moving pieces that provide leverage to both sides. I like to think of every partnership we work on as a bit of a logic puzzle where each side has their objectives, each side has the things that they value, and our job is to figure out how we click those puzzle pieces and in a way that everyone's going to be walking away from the partnership feeling like they got a good deal. Now, there's some creators that we're really excited to work with, and there's some folks that aren't going to be a good fit for us. The best fit creator for Creators Agency at this point in time, and we're always expanding, is somebody who's making content about finance, business, entrepreneurship, AI, or just general education content that is in some way related to money. Myself, Erica, and Eric are all very passionate about financial literacy, and so we only want to work with creators that are spreading that message. We want to work with creators that are spreading valuable information. We're not so interested in folks that are making content about, get rich quick schemes or the next hot crypto coin. Like, that's not really something that we care about. What we care about is folks that are teaching people and making a real impact on people's lives as it relates to improving themselves financially, because money is such an integral part of everyone's life. And so having confidence And, the ability to use money as a tool to do the things you want to do in life is extremely, extremely important. So we're very focused on that. We're also focused on creators that are receiving at least about 50,000 views per video on YouTube. The reason for that is because that gives us a lot of opportunity to negotiate very high value partnerships with the brands that we work with. It can be very resource intensive to work with creators as compared to other ways of marketing. For example, if you want to, start running Facebook ads, you can do that with $10. You do that with $100, $1,000, $10,000, $1,000,000. And the level of complexity doesn't scale exponentially, right? To go from spending $10 on Facebook ads to spending $1,000,000, right? There's a lot more moving pieces, but it's not, 100,000 times more complicated, right? But when you're working with creators, to go from working with 10 creators to 100 creators to 1,000 creators, it's extremely resource intensive. All the tracking, all of the attribution, figuring out what's working, what's not. And so we know that by working with larger creators, we can provide a lot more leverage to the brands that we work with. We can get our creators paid a lot more. And at the end of the day, we can create much higher impact partnerships when we focus on larger creators. And we're also a very small team. So we've got less than 10 employees all around. And we're very, very focused on, how do we provide as much leverage for our team as possible as well, right? I want our talent agents to be able to make as much money as possible. I want everybody on our team to do very well financially. And so when we focus on larger creators, that's one of our constraints right now, is that we need to focus on larger creators in order to make sure that everyone is winning. Now, for a creator that makes, say, entertainment content, we're really not a fit right now because one, it's not values aligned with us, but two, it's a lot more difficult for an entertainment-based creator to drive real results for a brand in a consistent and meaningful way. Not to say that it's impossible. There's plenty of entertainment creators that do that, but it's not our specialty. It's not our wheelhouse. And so we tend to steer clear of that. Now, for some of the creators that we work with that you might know, we've done deals with Cody Sanchez, School of Hard Knocks, obviously Erica Kohlberg. All of these folks were recently named as Forbes top 50 creators and are making millions, if not tens of millions of dollars through their content and the businesses that they've built on the back of it. And because we don't lock creators into predatory contracts, work with means something a little bit different here, which we're going to be talking about more in the next video. Now, why are we even doing this in the first place, right? Like, of all the things we could be doing, why this? Well, our core mission is really to empower creators to do what they love, which is creating content, educating people, spreading financial literacy. And we focus on the behind the scenes, boring work of their brand partnerships and getting them paid so that they can afford to do this at scale, hire more people, make more content, and make more of an impact. I see the ripple effect of what we do as extremely large because we're actively allowing creators to make more content, educate more people, and have a bigger impact on the things that matter to them and the things that matter to us. And everything that we do comes back to our core values, which are fairness, transparency, and long-term thinking. When it comes to fairness, we are not focused on how do we extract as much value out of this brand in this one transaction, or even how do we get this creator paid the most money right now. We're focused on structuring fair deals that are going to stand the test of time, deals that are going to persist for months, years even. And the way that we do that is by structuring deals in a way that is very fair to both sides. We really have to understand what does each party want going into this so that we can properly optimize for it. And that's coming back to what I said, like, I think every deal really is a logic puzzle. Every partnership is a logic puzzle that we need to solve and figure out what is everybody looking for here and how do we make sure that everybody walks away feeling good about it. Next, we've got transparency. So there's a lot of shady stuff going on behind closed doors in this world, and we are very against that. Everything we do is in the open. Everything we do, creators privy to, brands privy to. We're keeping everybody in the loop, and nothing is happening in the dark shadows where nobody can see it. Like, the whole reason that Erica and I and Eric started this is because we wanted to help creators, we wanted to help our friends. And so transparency is number one of the most important things to us. Lastly, long-term oriented. So we're very much thinking, how can we help creators get paid not just today, not just tomorrow, but years and years and years into the future? How can we allow brands to create assets that are going to serve them for the long term? And how do we make sure that everybody's reputation is properly protected, right? We need to make sure that creators' reputations are protected. That's what their entire business is built off of. We need to make sure that brands' reputations are protected, without trust with their, customers, without trust with their audience. None of it matters. And we need to make sure that our reputation is protected as well. Because if we want to earn the business of our brands and of our creators, we need to be a trusted source of good information and high quality partnerships. And that said, creators are never obligated to bring us a deal. So we don't have these predatory contracts that lock in creators for, 12 months or more. Instead, every deal that we do is fully voluntary. Creators can choose to bring us whatever they want. They don't have to bring us all of their partnerships. And we only get involved in places where we can add real value. And to be honest with you, like that has burned us in the past before. We've had creators cut us out of very substantial six-figure deals. And our whole philosophy behind that is like, I would rather learn on a $300,000 deal that a creator's values don't align with ours, or that they don't value the work that we're doing, rather than learning that on a $5 million deal, right? And so our whole philosophy has always been, cool, if we find out that somebody's not a good fit for us from a value standpoint, if they want to cut us out of a deal, that's totally fine. Like we will move on with our lives. We're not going to, take them to court or, sue them over it, right? We're going to take that information and say, okay, cool, that's good information to have. Let's move on with our lives. And we're also firm believers that the more information we put out there, the more we help brands, creators, even if they're not working with us, even if they just, take the information they learn from us, take the deal that we negotiate for them and do it themselves. I'm a firm believer, and we as a company are a firm believer that the rising tide lifts all boats. And that if we can do our job well, educate people well, bring value to the marketplace, that's going to help everybody in the long term. And whether we're involved on a specific deal or not is way less of a concern to me. I'm more concerned with how do we just make sure that this industry continues to advance and grow, because creators really are the next generation of marketing, of leverage for companies. And so our whole goal is just how do we make sure that creators are being properly valued and able to do this in a really big way. Some of our creators have built teams of 30, 40, 50 employees, and we've been able to play a small part in that, which is really exciting to me. And again, that ripple effect is really what gets me excited in thinking about all of the impact that we've been able to have on this industry to date, and the continued impact we're going to have as we continue to scale from $50 million all the way up to $1 billion put in the pockets of creators. And no call to action here, but if you do want to learn more about Creators Agency, you can go to creatorsagency.co, check out some of our case studies, book a call if you're a brand, if you're a creator. But we're really just here to help the industry grow and progress. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.